yeah. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Good afternoon. I'm actually surprised I'm not wore out. Usually I'm pretty wore out after I do a podcast. I didn't even share this. I would be helped if I would have told people I was going live. Oh well, no biggie. Ain't no thing. I don't think many people see him anyway, so it's not a big deal. But yeah, I just did a podcast with my friend Tyler. Yes, we are friends. A sponsee who has become a friend. It's always the best kind. I think it turned out really well. I'm really proud of him. So I'm just going to keep this in the Trudging Together family. If you are not familiar with the Trudging Together family, we do have a couple other groups. One is called Dragonflower Recovery, and they cover a lot of Al-Anon, ACA, AA. There's Recovery Anonymous, Raw Recovery, Raw Recovery Overeaters Anonymous. So we got that too, and that is the Trudging Together family. I don't know. I just make this shit as it comes up. I just make this shit up. Kinda. I mean, I don't make it up, but I don't know how it happens. I don't have the time. But today's been a pretty good day, man. I've been able to do what I want, which is kind of nice. Which is just helping people. It's all I've been doing all day, and nobody will ever answer that though. So we're going to be in the 12 by 12. It looks like we're going to be on page 115. I'm pulling this out of As Bill Sees It on page 252 if you want to read it there. I'm not going to be utilizing that. This stuff just leads you to other places, but there's a lot of letters and stuff like that in here. But I always like to have a reading when I just go by myself. It doesn't always work out. So I try and have something that I can read out. I'm very much a news reporter. You better watch what you put on the prompt because I may read it. Even though I know it's wrong, I'm still going to read it just because it's funny. So we got to be careful there. But yeah, and I don't expect too many people. I'm doing this at a weird time. So yeah, I'd rather they actually just came to the meeting instead, which is in an hour and a half. Let's do some introductions. I was going to do one on sponsorship, but I just feel like I'm beating a dead cat with that. Welcome to Daily Trudge. My name is Dion. Can all of you read that? You know, it's funny because it's not really in cursive. It kind of is, but you can still read it, right? Well, it's cursive, friends. Oh my God, you can read cursive. Please say hello whether you're watching live or the rewatch. This has been sitting here forever. I never use it. People hate it. I don't like it. And I just put this as a ticker. Yeah, it's just annoying. People are like, what is that down there, Dion? Can you just, I don't like it. Because yeah, it's weird. It's like I'm watching the news. Yeah. So when I was growing up, you'd watch the news and they didn't have anything else on the screen. Now half the screen's taken up with all this shit, man. It's like, wow, where's the person out there like this big in the screen now? All right, put that over to chat. Get the chat thing going. Make sure we're good here. We are good to go. Let's do it. I'm not actually really doing anything. I'm just screwing around until time is eaten up. I'm going to start in the middle of page 114. So if you want to follow along, go ahead and grab your 12 by 12. There's a new series that's out. I'm doing the 12 Steps of Christmas. Actually, it's the 12 Steps of Xmas. So, and I hope that I hope people take that in stride and not, I've always celebrated Christmas. I never understood what it was, It's a time for family, and that's the way I see it. So, yeah. All right. Like most people, we have found that we can take our big lumps as they come. But also, like others, we often discover a great challenge in the lesser and more continuous problems of life. It's the little things that kill. Yeah, it's the little things that kill. Yeah. So don't let them add up. Okay. Now, are problems bigger than other problems? Yes, no. Yes, no. It depends on how I take them. It really depends on how I'm going to take those problems. Do I want to take it on as something that's bigger? Because then that's what's going to happen. But we're on step 12 now, and we should realize that we got to right size our problems first, right? So let's take a little look at that. Our answers is still in the more spiritual develop. Our answer is in still more spiritual development. Only by this means can we improve our chances for really happy and useful living. Yeah, there's nothing better than being useful, especially for an alcoholic. It'll take that loneliness away, right? Now, part of the loneliness I was going through is I would deny the fact that other people actually wanted to help me. And, there were a lot of beautiful people in my life that really tried to help me. I denied most, right? And they're not really around. There's some people still in my life, so. And we grow spiritually. We find that our old attitude towards our instincts need to undergo a drastic revision. Our desires for emotional security and wealth, for personal prestige and power, for romance, and for family satisfactions, all these have to be tempered and redirected. When I think of feeling, that way, because surely I do, and, I would rather personally live in a 2-bedroom house with my wife. I don't need much. I'd rather be out a little east there, away from the people and stuff. You know, now I'm talking about emotional security, not necessarily wealth or personal prestige and power. But I'd like to be well enough to be able to pay my bills and make sure that we can live day to day. But I don't need fancy cars. I don't need diamond rings and chains and watches. I just, give me a decent pair of work boots and I'm good. Hi, Ingrid. It's good to see you. It's good to see you. I just put another podcast out, Tyler. So I have another one coming on Sunday. And that is, we have a speaker coming back, Lucas, who told his story, and we're going to talk on, we say stick around, wait for the miracle to happen. We're going to talk about that miracle. Oh, really? Oh, really? Well, I have a feeling you'll probably make it. So happy early birthday, but I'll tell you again tomorrow. Good job. It's exciting stuff. It is. That means today what you're doing is you're thinking of all the things in the past that have happened to you before now. We do. We go back in the past and think back, and it's okay because we made progress. We have a right to do that. The past no longer scares us. But I'm really proud of you. Good job. Good job. I'll make sure I have a live tomorrow. Make sure you can make it. Okay. We have all learned that the satisfactions of instincts cannot be the sole end and aim of our lives. And that's what it used to be. If we place instincts first, we've got the cart before the horse. We shall be pulled back into disillusionment. But when we're willing to place spiritual growth first, then and only then do we have a real chance. Now, this goes back to a place in the big book. And it says when we work on our spiritual malady, everything else kind of starts to fit into place. Right? And now I know for me, without that, without the direction, without the structure, without the discipline, without the guidance, because I clearly did not know what I was doing. I had the cart before the horse on everything that I do. Right? That's why the program seems so backwards to us. Well, that's not even true. I was talking to, I'm not going to bring up the name, but I was talking to them and I said, well, what we need to do is if we're not going to have peer support people quite yet, then what you need to do is call the AA hotline. And then what you have is a bunch of people that want to do service work. They want to be there. They want to show up. They want to help. And you don't have to pay them. And I said, then, we keep on that. We'll show up. We'll pick them up. We'll take them to their first meeting, make sure they get home or wherever they're supposed to go. And he said, all right, we're going to look into this new concept. New concept? Oh, shit. Now, I don't think he meant like the whole concept, but because I brought some things up. But that's a kind of a scary thing to me because that is the only concept. It's the only way it's going to work. Okay. And I went on to tell me it doesn't have to just be AA. It can be Celebrate Recovery, Smart Recovery. But here's the thing. None of those other programs have a hotline. They don't have one number that you can call and a person will answer the phone no matter what time it is. None of them have that. That's a big difference. See, they don't do 12-step calls and things like I do or like we do in AA. It's a little different. And I'm not even totally sure on that, but I did look for hotline numbers for the rest of them and there weren't any. So I'm assuming, right? After we have come into AA, if we go on growing, our attitudes and actions towards security, emotional security, and financial security commence to change profoundly. Yeah. Are you? I will not be able to make it tomorrow, most likely. I am going down to East Metro Detox at 10, and we're reestablishing that stuff and getting them set up to call the hotline. I want to set up their computer on Zoom so they can go to the grassroots meeting on Saturday nights because they don't have a meeting yet. So we're going to try and make it hybrid, right? And they're all up for this stuff. And they've done a lot of changes there, and I'm glad to hear that. Our demand for emotional security for our own way had constantly thrown us into unworkable relationships with other people. The thing, and it was really hard because I wanted to do things my way. If I can't do things my way, then what do I got? I see. I need lack of power, and that's where we're at right in that, right? Lack of power. That was my dilemma. I had to find a power greater than myself for which I could work with. See, there were no demands there. There was no ultimatum. It was hey, if you want it, then this is the route that we take. There was no pushing there was nobody ever in the program has ever pushed me to believe in something. Okay. I mean, at least not directly to me. I've heard it in meetings and things like that, but that just goes back to take what you can and leave the rest, right? And if I remember correctly, Ingrid, you chair every Friday. That's why I've been showing up on Fridays. This is how my noon meetings go. Monday through Thursday, I go to Vitality. On Friday, I go to the acid test. On the weekends, I go to the Trudgers meeting. So that's my noon thing. So though we were sometimes quite unconscious of this, the result had always been the same. Either we had tried to play God and dominate those about us, or we had insisted on being overly dependent upon them. Where people had temporarily let us run their lives as though we were still children, we had felt this very happy and secure ourselves. But when they finally resisted or ran away, we were bitterly hurt and disappointed. We blamed them, being quite unable to see that our unreasonable demands had been the cause. Now, the thing is we talk about, I want to do things my way, and I was, But at the same time, we were letting other people run our lives as a convenience every now and again. I did both of this. If one didn't work, I tried the other one. And I wasn't doing it on purpose. I did not sit there and plan that ever. It just happened. It just happened. You didn't sit around doing that. No. But it happened. And that's, our reaction to life. And it's got to change a little bit, right? When we had taken the opposite tack and had instead, like infants ourselves, that people protect and take care of us, or that the world owed us a living, then the result had been equally unfortunate. Here, let me give you a list of what life owes you real quick. There it is. Nothing. Nobody, not one person in this world or life owes me anything. Here's some people might owe me some money. I don't think that they do. I don't know. Haven't thought about it. They don't owe me nothing. I got to do this. I got to do it. That's where the strength comes from. I had to stop using other people for my own comfort. It drove them away. My life has got to be on a give and take basis with every single relationship that I have. Ingrid and I have a great relationship. We don't even try and figure out what's give and take in our relationship. We just do what's necessary to help the other person because we know that they're supposed to be in our lives. Yeah. And Ingrid and we've talked about some hard fucking things. We really have. I'm going to get her on the podcast one day, maybe for your birthday this year. But you know me, I'll never push, but I'll always bring it up because I want you to know it's available. But people are ready when they're ready, and it happens when it's supposed to happen. So, this often caused the people we had loved the most to push us aside or perhaps desert us entirely. Now, everybody does this. I don't care what human being it is. We take out our anger on the people we love the most. It doesn't matter who you are. But with an alcoholic, we will drive them away. And what is this? Well, and they left us just because I had some needs. Oh, you're needy. You're needy. And that's much different. I know I was. Nobody wants to take care of a 38-year-old man who's perfectly capable of taking care of himself. Yeah, you do it when you're ready, Ingrid. That's why I do the podcast the way that I do it. Because you don't have to talk in front of a bunch of other people. So I try and take that fear away to help. But sometimes that's not the fear. Maybe you're just like, well, I don't know that I have enough yet that I want to share my story the right way. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. So I was taught that when it's your birthday, you share your story. But I'm finding that isn't always the best thing. But it's a rule for me. So it hasn't happened because then I'm like, need me to speak? Like, no. No, I have to wait and be asked. But that's okay. All right. Yeah. So is it that? All right. Now remember, let's say you're like, yes, I want to do it. We do it. And you're like, Dion, I don't want you to put that out. Then you guess what? I don't put it out because I don't even like saying my podcast. Our podcast is so different. It's very different from all the other podcasts in the fact that I don't control the show. I don't. Sometimes I talk a little too much. I think I did with Tyler a little bit, but you got me excited, man, about some of these stories and things like that. But I try and let them control where we're going with it. Yeah. It's yours. So you get to make the decisions. Like when we started with Tyler, I said, okay, do you care if I tell people that I'm your sponsor in this? He's like, no. I'm like, okay. See, I need to know that. Why? A couple of things. One is anonymity. I don't get to do that, right? Unless I ask. The other thing is it's his. But I just don't know what to say yet. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. What I was saying, what I said, just to kind of go with that, is that if, let's say, you decide that you want to do it and we do it and you're like, I don't want you to share it, then I won't share it. I think that's what you probably missed. So this often causes the people that we love the most to push us aside or perhaps desert us entirely. Our disillusionment had been hard to bear. We couldn't imagine people acting that way towards us. We had failed to see that though adult in years, we were still behaving childishly, trying to turn everybody, friends, wives, husbands, and even the world itself, into protective parents. We had refused to learn the very hard lesson that overdependence upon people is unsuccessful because all people are fallible. That's it. I'm fallible. And every other single human being in this world is fallible. Okay? And even the best of them will sometimes let us down, especially when our demands for attention become unreasonable. All right? Now, I want you to kind of hear this because all people are fallible. But when we're just taking pictures of our best life ever, you're not being really honest. Look at us over here. Oh, now we're over here. Look at my dinner. I'm eating so healthy. And yeah, what about the 15 minutes in between that stuff? And, so you never make mistakes. And there again, that's where we're a little different here. I will bring up mistakes I am currently going through right now. I make mistakes here often. Sure. Right? Do people run from me when I do that? No, they're like, oh shit. Oh shit. Dion's not perfect. You knew that already, but because your perception of me is very different than the perception that I have. Right? Maybe. As we made spiritual progress, we saw through these fallacies. It became clear that if we were ever were to feel emotionally secure among grown-up people, I just think that's funny because I'm not grown it up. So if I want to hang out with grown-up people, man, I got to do some changing. Right? Are the grown-up people in AA? No, they're not. That's a joke. No, they're not. They're not grown it up yet. We're a bunch of Toys R Us kids. Right? I didn't get the attention I needed when I was growing up. So I had this whole bad attention thing, right? And I would say, well, it's my parents' fault. My parents' fault. But by the time I was like 17, 18, I realized I had to stop blaming my parents for who I was. I hadn't lived with them for years. And I had to stop blaming them for who I was. Now, I wasn't done blaming them or being angry at them, but I could at least realize that I had to be my own person. Has 24. What? Well, you tell him great job. That's a long fucking time to stay sober. Wow. Good for him. Good for him. I hope he can hear me. That's fucking awesome. I'm glad that you're celebrating your birthday tomorrow, but 24 days makes me more excited. And you know why. I don't think I'll ever be all the way grown up. I still have a lot of playing left in me to do. My granddaughters were over this last weekend and she was kicking around the ball. So I taught her I played soccer for years and years. So I was teaching her how to stop the ball and she's actually pretty good. So, just shit like that. But anyway, so it became clear that if we were ever to feel emotionally secure among grown-up people, we would have to put our lives on a give and take basis. We would have to develop the sense of being in partnership or brotherhood with all of those around us. And AA is a great place to start doing that. That's where we learn that skill, right? What else are they saying? Well, we got to be neutral to alcohol, and if you have to go somewhere, then bring the best possible you that you can, with enthusiasm, with a good attitude. Doesn't even have to be positive, but a good attitude would help. It would. Can we always do this? No, I can't. I was invited to Thanksgiving. I'm like, I don't think I'm going to add anything good to it. I just don't. So no. Well, I know that my mom may have missed me, but it was better than starting a fight that she didn't need to see or be a part of or even happen. Okay. But that's kind of what they're saying is, put your best foot forward. As a recovered alcoholic, I'm going to tell you something. You're going to put your best foot forward, and it's going to get stepped on a lot. It's okay. Just wear steel-toe boots. In other words, don't let it bother you. It's just going to happen. When you put yourself out there, there will just be assholes, right? Look at all the trolls and stuff online. I mean, I find it rude that when somebody is like asking for help and other people are just jackasses about it. Why are you even there? I don't know. Anyway, okay. We saw that we would need to give constantly of ourselves without any demands for repayment. Now, whoa, Bill. Whoa, Bill. Slow down, Bill. Hey, Brittany, it's good to see you. Welcome. It is good to have you here. If you would like to follow along, I'm going to be going a little bit longer here. So I am on page 116 in the 12 by 12. I've had mine long enough that it's just gone. So if you'd like to follow along, that is where we are at. So it says we saw that we would need to give constantly ourselves without demand for repayment. Now, what he isn't saying give constantly, because before it said that we would have to put our lives on a give and take basis. Okay? So what they're saying is when we are giving of ourselves, you can't expect anything back from that. It has to be an altruistic thing for us. Okay? Because there will be a gift for it, but it comes in dividends. And a dividend is what is left over after the day. That could be joy. That could be happiness. It could be anger. It could be resentment. It could be a lot of things. Okay? But you'll find in the program that you get to the end of your day and you're like, well, I didn't do anything that I had to make an amend for. Everything. So not everything in AA is done in red ink. In fact, you're going to find once you get through some things that most of it is not in red ink at all. You get to the end of the day, you're like, well, that happened. I took care of it. I did it. Okay, I'm good. Is that cool? Yeah. I can sleep good now. I can sleep good. I sleep better, right? When we persistently did this, we gradually found that people were attracted to us as never before. And even if they failed us, we could be understanding and not too seriously affected. I'll give you an example. I went to the ER yesterday for my shoulder to do a follow-up in Boulder. And as soon as I called it, I'm like, oh shit, this is in Boulder. They called me back and I'm like, okay, yeah, I was at the ER. And I told everybody I don't have insurance. I'm working on my Medicaid, right? And they send it to. So I call them. They're like, "Oh, well, I'm sorry to tell you this, but we don't take Medicaid." I'm like, "Of course you don't. You're Boulder, right? You guys don't care." I'm like, "Okay," but anyway, I gotta throw a little jab in there. But the way I see it, she's working for them, and that is bad, and that's not my problem, right? And so I took a breath, and because I didn't really want to get mad at this person, and I said, "Would you have any other suggestions for me?" No. She's like, well, you'd call Ann Shoots, I think. I'm like, and in my head, I'm thinking, you are horrible at this. You're horrible. Right? And I said to her, well, you know what? At least we tried. And that's all we can do, right? Well, thank you for your phone call. I appreciate you. I hope you have a great holiday. And I meant that. Why shouldn't you have a great holiday just because the system's fucked up? 10 minutes later, they call me again. I'm like, oh, did they change something? And she starts talking. I'm like, you talked to me about 10 minutes ago. And you guys couldn't take me because Medicaid. And she goes, oh, that's right. Well, I'm sorry. I was still nice to her. Why not? What is that? Well, and even if they failed us, we could be understanding and not too seriously affected. Now, I could get pissed off, Reamer, and well, gosh, now you're just calling, no worries, Ingrid. You have a good dinner. I love you. Have a good day. We will see you tomorrow on your birthday. Right? So I could be understanding without being seriously affected. Now, I'll tell you, if I wasn't feeling better, my shoulder was still hurting, that might have been different. When I'm in pain, I'm an ass. I'm either an ass or I will just crack a bunch of jokes because the only way I feel better is if I'm laughing. And they shouldn't get my wrath. Right? So there's a lot of situations that we could do that. But, we don't know what other people are going through. And this lady, I mean, even when she said, I'm sorry to tell you this, it came from an empathetic place. I did feel that. So I gave that to her. She got to pay her bills. It's expensive to live in Boulder. Most people in Colorado don't like Boulder, just so you know. Yeah, we find that very hoity-toity, like, oh, we don't take Medicaid. Oh, well, good for you. All right. So when we developed still more, we discovered the best possible source of emotional stability to be God himself. Yeah. You know who I yell at the most now? God. Remember earlier I said, what we do when we are angry or we are going through emotional things, and we alcoholics definitely do this, but this is true of anybody. We take it out on the people we love the most. Why? Because every single person in the world has an abandonment problem. And we don't want them, and we know they're not going to leave us. But with an alcoholic, not so. That's why this is important. Yeah. When I get upset, who do I yell? I go to God. Yes, and I yell at my higher power. What the fuck? And I will say every swear word on it. They're my father. He's my father. That's his job. It says right here that the best possible source of emotional stability is to be God himself. So what is he going to do? He's going to take that anger that I have and he's going to turn it into something useful for me because I came to him and didn't take it out on one of his children. And that's what he appreciates. He, she, whatever. For me, that seems to be the process. And they appreciate that. He's like, I would rather you come to me and be angry with me, get that off your chest, and then I'll send somebody to you that will help you work through that. See, when I'm yelling at God, he knows what I'm saying. He's saying, you're asking for help, Tion. I get it. It's just hard to say it the way that you need to say it. And I understand that. That's why it's perfect. We found that dependence upon his perfect justice, it's justice, forgiveness, and love was healthy. Yeah. See, only God can forgive. Only your higher power can truly forgive, right? Yeah. We use forgiveness so that we can continue moving forward in a relationship and maybe hopefully build some trust again. But that's going to take what? Time? Oh, well, that's not forgiveness. That's not appeasement either. What would we call that? But it's not forgiveness. Forgiveness is you're forgiven. We're done. Not so with us, though. Oh, they did that. Well, first time, shame on you. Second time, shame on me. See? Where for me, at least I know, but I can do what I can to provide justice in the ninth step. So, and love was healthy, and that would work where nothing else would. If we really depended upon God, we couldn't very well play God to our fellows, nor would we feel the urge wholly to rely on human protection and care. These were the new attitudes that finally brought many of us inner strength and peace that could not be deeply shaken by the shortcomings of others or by any calamity not of our own making. Have you ever seen somebody, they're going through stuff and they're just like, okay, okay. Now, this doesn't mean that they don't have emotions or they're going through anything. They just understand that that they've been through something like this before and they came out the other side just fine. So, this new outlook, I'm going to do one more paragraph and I'm going to wrap up. This new outlook was we learned something especially necessary to us alcoholics. For alcoholism had been a lonely business, even though we had been surrounded by people who loved us. What is that? I know what it was for me. I never fit in. Ever. I mean, we could have a clique called the strangest of the strangest strange, and I still wouldn't fit in. I was always the odd duck. Didn't matter where I was going. The jocks, stoners, the geeks, the nerds, the freaks. See, I'm all of them. I'm all of those. But I'm none at all. Yeah. Whew. But when self-will had driven everybody away and our isolation had become complete, it caused us to play the big shot cheap bar rooms. And then for a fourth, alone on the street, to depend upon the charity of passerbys. We were still trying to find emotional security by being dominating or dependent upon others. Even our fortunes had not ebbed that much, and we nevertheless found ourselves alone in the world. We still vainly tried to be secured by some healthy kind of domination or dependence. For those of us who were like that, A had a very special meaning. Through it, we began to learn right relations with people who understand us. We don't have to be alone anymore. We don't. I think it's that loneliness that keeps, or the lack of loneliness, because you can't help it, man. You can't, if you're an alcoholic, and even if you got a nudge from the judge and you end up in the room, I don't care how hard-headed you are, sooner or later, we'll find the crack in it. We won't do it intentionally, but we will find the crack in your armor and we will get through. Yeah. Okay. See, a lot of times judges, the sentence seems horrible, but it's to make you a better human being. A judge wants you to be a working member of society, paying your taxes and walking or picking up your dog poop and being an upstanding member of society like them. Okay. Most judges I've met, without being in a courtroom, have servants' hearts. They don't want to put people in jail. Would you want to put somebody in jail? No. Yeah, when the decision finally has to be made and it's on you. Yeah, I don't think I'd want that kind of power. No. Let me rephrase that. I don't think I could handle that kind of power. Not without a higher power. And I've got a couple of judge friends that are judges, cops that are friends. It's a weird life, ain't it? It's a weird life. Here's my saying. I only hate cops when I'm doing something wrong. It's the only time I don't like them. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I got set up for the 5 o'clock meeting. No, it doesn't take an hour, but yeah, I want to take a shower, kind of relax a little bit. That meeting's at 5 o'clock. Oh shit. I've never put it in here. If you'd like to go, let me know. Just reach out. Here, I'll do this. I'm gonna put my email in here. It's pretty straightforward. DionMiller@live.com. So just my name and then the band Live, who is my second favorite band. Oh, they're my favorite band. So I got lucky. And if you need the link to the grassroots meeting, anything like that, anybody that's listening, please reach out. It is not listed. It is a closed, invite-only AA meeting. Yeah, it's back to basics, and it's structured. It is structured, and we talk about solution. It is not a come dump meeting. Mm-mm. So, and we also help people find sponsors. It's not a sponsorship meeting. Those are silly. All right. Thank you. It depends on what it is. I apologize. They're not silly. I had some image in my head and it's probably wrong. So don't just go cancel that one out. All right. Thank you everybody for being here. It's good to see you. Ingrid, as always. Brittany, it was great to have you. I'm glad that you said hi. Let me know that you were here. So I hope everybody has a great day. I love you. You know I do. Peace out.